You know, I really don't know where to start with this one other than to say this is this. Now I know it's weird and probably haven't heard that since, the deer hunter with Michael going, hey, this is this with a bullet about one shot. But what I want to talk about is this okay? Two popular broadheads, and to the uninformed, somebody might go, well, what's that if they don't bow hunt or whatever? It's okay. One fixed blade, one expandable. Okay? I've got a lot of experience with both. I've between the group that I hunt with and myself, over the past 8 or 10 years, we've shot over 100 deer with expandables. And I know myself that I've shot over 100 deer with just regular fixed blade broadheads, plus probably 30 with expandables. So I think I'm qualified to talk about both. So let's compare the two. Okay? 2.5, either 2 or 2.5 inches of cut, depending on which one you buy. Okay? And this is a rage. Okay, the old rage in a cage deal. It's getting worn out. This one is billed as, I believe, an inch and an eighth. Okay, but when you compare them, this is 2 inches. This is called an inch and an eighth, but it's not really an inch and an eighth because you've got these two bleeder blades. They're, let's say, 3/4 of an inch each. So that's, maybe we'll go a little smaller than 3/4. Let's say a 1/2 inch, just for the argument's sake. Okay? That would give us this inch and an eighth or inch and 3/16 plus an extra inch. So in actual cutting, these are actually not that different. I mean, this is virtually this. Okay, it really is for sure. But there are advantages to each one. Advantages to this and advantages to this. So let's talk about the expandables. We'll talk about the advantages and disadvantages, okay? Advantage 1, big cut size, okay? I won't lie. When they open up on a deer, usually you've got a big, massive wound, and you tend to get a little better blood trail. Now, some people say, I've had mine fail on me. But my question to you is, did they fail on you, or did you fail on them? If you don't put these together right, they do not deploy the same as if you do it wrong. Yeah, wrong. Because if you do it wrong, the blades do not deploy the same. Okay? Most of the time it's human error. The other thing is, people will tell you, I shot one right in the shoulder and, it bounced off or it bent, it bent. Well, the materials in a mechanical broadhead are not as thick and not as strong as a lot of other heads, which means you're dealing with blades that are thinner, less resistance to damage, okay? And you've got a head that's not exactly built for breaking bone. Now, if you get back a little bit, if you're into more of a liver head, yeah, you could get your deer sooner, okay? But you still should wait 3 to 5 hours on a liver head, to be honest. I mean, what's the rush? You owe it to the deer. Finally, with the mechanicals, a lot of people use the excuse that it gives me margin for error. Well, to somebody that's really trying to make a good shot, margin for error is a little bit of a comfort at times. But there are a lot of people that say, oh, I've got margin for error, so I'm going to take a shitty shot. And a lot of times that shitty shot don't work out so good. Finally, Mechanicals generally fly about the same as field points, which means if you're tuned in on your bow or your crossbow, you generally do not have to move the pins on it, with rare exceptions. Now, let's look at Mr. Fixed Head. The truth, they don't always fly exactly the same as a field point. The other truth is, not everybody has the mental skills and just knowledge to tune a bow so it will fly the same or very close to it. So what's your alternative? Well, I'm going to take my fixed head broadhead, I'm going to shoot it into a target, and I'm going to move my sight or my pins or whatever I have to do, depending on whether it's a bow or a crossbow, to get it to hit right where it's going to hit. The downside of that is, as you increase range, you're going to have to keep on probably moving your pins, or your single pin if you're using that, or your crosshair or whatever. You're going to have to adjust so that you kind of get a happy medium. Finally, and this is definitely a plus, okay? On a lot of fixed head broadheads, they can easily be sharpened, as some of the replacements too, but usually they get damaged. And I'm speaking from experience. So they're sharpenable, and if you're forward on a deer, okay, you get into that shoulder blade with the more heavily built broadhead, especially something that's got a chisel type of point and stuff like that, you can crack bone. You will not always crack bone, but there's a decent chance that you will crack that front shoulder and get enough penetration into the lungs where you'll get a deer. So I have to ask you, number one, what are you shooting? And is this really this? Hey, for Real World Deer Hunter, I'm Steve.